Time travel has to be the most intriguing of our universe's unknowns. To take any of this seriously, you must be a believer of some kind. But some of the stories in this video will truly get you thinking and asking questions that no one has answers to. Is it possible to go back in time? You must decide for yourself, as no time travel story can be proven conclusively. There are, however, some credible stories of humans who may have traveled through time. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the strangest time travel stories ever. Number 7. The Moberly Jordan Incident. Annie Moberly and Eleanor Jordan, two English women, went on vacation to France in 1901. They went to the Palace of Versailles while they were there. And while they were there, they went to the Petit Trianon, a small chateau on the palace grounds that Louis XVI gave to Marie Antoinette as a private space for her to hang out and do whatever a teenage queen did when she was relaxing back then. However, they claimed to have witnessed some strange occurrences while there. They claimed to have seen people dressed in anachronistic clothing, heard strange voices, and seen buildings and other structures that were no longer present and had not existed since the late 1700s. Finally, they claimed they saw Marie Antoinette drawing in a sketchbook. They claimed to have entered a time slip and been transported back more than a century before being jolted back to the present by a tour guide. Did they actually go back in time? Almost certainly not. Various explanations range from a folie à deux to a simple misinterpretation of what they actually saw. For what it's worth, in 1911, roughly 10 years later after what they claimed happened, the two women published a book called An Adventure under the pen names Elizabeth Morrison and Frances Lamont. It's now available as The Ghosts of Trianon. Take a look if you like. Number 6. The Mystery of John Titor. John Titor is perhaps the most famous person who claims to have time traveled. However, he has not been heard from in nearly 17 years. He also claims to be from the future. The story is lengthy and complicated, but here's the short version. In a thread about time travel paradoxes started in the fall of 2000 on the Time Travel Institute's online forum, now known as Curious Cosmos, a user responded to a comment about how a time machine could theoretically be built with the following message. Wow, Paul is completely correct. I was about to give up hope on anyone on this world line, knowing who Tipler or Kerr was. By the way, number 0-2 is the correct answer, and the fundamentals of time travel begin in about a year at CERN and end in 2034, with the first time machine built by GE. I wish we could post pictures because I'd show you. The implication, of course, was that the user, Time Travel 0, came from a point in the future when such a machine had already been invented. The user, who became known as John Titor, told his story over the course of many messages spanning from that first thread all the way through the early spring of 2001. He explained that he had been sent back to 1975 to bring an IBM 5100 computer to his own time, and that he was only stopping in 2000 for a brief rest on his way home. He claimed that the computer was required to debug various legacy computer programs in 2036, in order to combat the year 2038 problem, a known problem similar to Y2K. Opinions differ on whether John Titor was real. Some believe he was the only true example of time travel ever seen, while others believe he was one of the most enduring hoaxes ever seen. I lean towards hoaxes, but that's just me. Number 5. Project Pegasus and the Chrononauts. Andrew D. Basiago and William Stillings came forward in 2011 claiming to be former chrononauts who had worked on an alleged DARPA program called Project Pegasus. They claimed that Project Pegasus was created in the 1970s and that they were chosen to go to Mars in 1980. While taking a Mars training class at a community college in California, teleportation is the mode of transportation. It also improves. Basiago and Stillings also claimed that Barack Obama, who was 19 at the time and went by the name Barry Soetoro, was one of the students chosen to go to Mars. They claimed that the teleportation took place in a jump room. Obama has never been to Mars, according to the White House. Only if you count watching Marvin the Martian. Tommy Vietor, the National Security Council's spokesman at the time, told Wired's Danger Room in 2012. Number 4. Victor Goddard's Airfield Time Slip. Senior Royal Air Force Commander Sir Robert Victor Goddard, also known as Victor Goddard, claimed to have experienced a time slip, similar to Annie Moberly and Eleanor Jordan. On his way from Edinburgh to Andover, England, Goddard flew over what had been the RAF station Drem in Scotland in 1935. The Drem station was no longer in use following World War I demobilization efforts. It had mostly been left to its own devices, and that's exactly what Goddard saw as he flew over it, a mostly deserted airfield. Things got strange on his return trip. He took the same route he had taken on the way there, but he was delayed by a storm during the flight. However, as he struggled to regain control of his plane, he noticed the Drem airfield through a break in the clouds, and as he got closer, the bad weather vanished. However, the airfield was not abandoned this time. There were several planes on the runway, and mechanics were scurrying around. The storm reappeared within seconds, and Goddard had to fight to keep his plane aloft once more. He made it home safely and lived for another 50 years, but the incident stayed with him. In fact, in 1975, he wrote a book called Flight Towards Reality, which included a discussion of the entire incident. The truly bizarre part is that the Drem airfield was reopened in 1939. Did Goddard see the airfield's future through a time slip in 1935? Nobody knows. Number 3. Space Barbie. Valeria Lukyanova is known as a human Barbie doll, but according to a 2012 short documentary for Vice's My Life Online series, she believes she is a time-traveling space alien whose purpose on Earth is to help us transition from the role of the human consumer to the role of human demigod. I'm not sure if this whole time-traveling space alien thing is a piece of performance art created specifically for this Vice documentary, or if it's what she actually thinks. I don't believe she's mentioned it in many of her other interviews. The items I found discussing Lukyanova, and time travel in particular, all point back to this video. Number 2. The Hipster Time Traveler. A photograph depicting the 1941 reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Goldbridge, British Columbia, Canada, went viral in the early 2010s for seemingly depicting a man who appeared a little too modern to have been photographed in 1941. He does, in fact, resemble a time-traveling hipster, complete with graphic t-shirt, textured sweater, and sunglasses. The photo has not been altered. The original can be viewed here. So what exactly was going on? Snopes had plenty of plausible explanations for the man's appearance. For example, each item he's wearing could easily have been purchased in 1941. Others have also confirmed those facts. The bottom line is that it's never been definitively debunked, so the theory that this photograph depicts a man from our time who traveled back in time to 1941 persists. What are your thoughts? Number 1. Father Ernetti's Chronovisor. According to at least 2 books, Catholic priest Father François Brun's 2002 book Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican and Peter Krasser's 2000 book Father Ernetti's Chronovisor, the creation and disappearance of the world's first time machine, Catholic priest Father Pellegrino Ernetti invented a machine called a chronovisor that allowed him to view the past. Ernetti was real, but the machine's existence, or even whether he claimed to have invented it, has never been proven. We can't ask him because he died in 1994. I mean, if we ever found this chronovisor, maybe we could. But wouldn't we have all the information we need by then? Although I'm fairly certain that these accounts and stories are either misinterpreted information or outright lies, they're still fun to read about. After all, if you had access to a time machine, wouldn't you want to try it out? Let us hope that science will one day make the idea a reality. There's a big universe out there. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting video.